From an unknown girl to the Queen of Chess. The Queen's Campbell was a big surprise from Netflix when it was successfully exploited. Not only the most brilliant lights of a life of genius, but along with that is also the loneliness of a mind separate from the majority. People see her sharp eyes as if reading through every move of her opponent, but did not know that after that, the childhood wound would heal. The family lands form an extremely independent personality. What an interesting story, isn't it? Continuing your love for the All Hands on Deck series. Today, let's review Elizabeth Hormel's status with the film, conquering the highest peak of the discipline which is dominated by men, as well as bringing a different perspective on the image of genius. That sometimes the suddenness makes us forget that they are just like everyone else. Have simple desires for love. Are you good at playing chess? I don't. So let's let chess knight Elizabeth Hormel teach us some basic moves. It all started with a miracle, but it should more accurately be called a tragedy. Close your eyes. Those were the last words Elizabeth Hormel's mother said to her, before swerving and crashing straight into the opposite car. There was something painful in her eyes. The tragedy is that in just a split second she became an orphan. And miracles. It was during the accident. In a personal way, Bev didn't have a single scratch. A miracle in the ugliest form. Don't hide using your body. Bev is transferred to Matherwell Home, orphanage for girls going through similar situations. Here they will take care, teaching, nurture, and try to find these children through adoption. However, the age to escape here is also extremely limited. Those who are young will easily worry about attracting the attention of infertile couples. And once grown up, through the lovely age, obedient, percentage also decreased. And here Bev met a sister with almost no such possibility of being adopted. It's Jolene. With a selfish personality, Jolene on the first day taught the new ghost how to overcome the boring years in this orphanage. That's saving the blue pills for the evening. That's right, every day the children will be given a red vitamin pill and a green Zenzalam tranquilizer to make them more docile and gentle. Drinking test. The effects of the drug made Bev lightheaded. Awake all night, the girl recalls the times her parents argued through fragmented memories. She remembered her father's face before he left. I remember the pain on my mother's face and the broken family. All mixed together create a child who is quiet and coldly reserved. However, under those tragedies, Bev was also given a very precious gift. That is Miss Tu Hong's superior intelligence from her mother, a famous mathematician. From now, destiny brought the little genius to love for interspersed black and white chess pieces. The story is that one day of a math test, while you are still busy writing, Bev hung up her pen and felt extremely bored. Don't know what else to do. The teacher sent the child down to the basement to brush off the chalk dust on the mop. By chance she saw a man with a harsh face, sitting and playing alone in silence. That's the fastidious cleaner named Shabble. Curious. But I can't wait for this uncle to teach me the rules and let me play with him. Bev wanted to know even more about that strange black and white moving thing. If others don't teach you, you'll learn by yourself. If you don't have a chessboard, you can draw it yourself. So take the Sizolam pills. Bev imagined the whole chessboard printed on the ceiling and imitated the fastidious cleaner. Every time I passed through the basement, she looked again. It didn't take long for me to memorize the names and moves of each chess piece. Final. Bev's eagerness to learn and stubbornness resonated with Shabble. Please sit down, please. Bev experiences a real chess match for the first time. Of course, because I'm a newbie. Bev lost it all. 4 countries checkmate. Sicilian defense. The names of the checkers. Bev seemed lost under words she had never heard of. However, Shabble was in no hurry to explain them. But every time I lose and come back, she must think for herself in her own way. So practice diligently. Bev had no idea how many doodles she could play chess in her mind. She played hundreds of games over and over every night. Remember Shabble's every move and find a way to neutralize them. Day by day, night after night and pill after pill. When everyone is sleeping soundly. Bethune Orphanage had no idea that it was witnessing the birth of a genius. And finally, that day has come. Bev actually beat Shabble. Ivory my general down on the flag. Shabble laughed and confessed, with a 9-year-old child. The girl is truly outstanding. From now, under the collapsed basement, the old master passed on to his new student everything he knew. They keep playing, then put it back together. Continue fighting. Rematched countless times and then the image faded. Stealing math lessons where the teacher sometimes miscalculates 5 by 3. Bev sinks into the king's game with the book pages given to her by Shabble. Time passed and soon, the old teacher was no longer a worthy opponent. Know that. Shabble invited an acquaintance over to introduce Beth. He runs a chess club at a nearby high school. With his super criminal abilities, Beth quickly took him down. Even all the male students in that club. Crazier, she did it at the same time. That's right, 15 high school players were crowned champions and Beth easily won them all. Shabble was right, she is truly a phenomenon in the mechanical world. However, promotion exam level, our prodigy's health is on red alert again. Because I drank too much Sazalam. Beth is almost completely dependent on these green pills. Bring one thing. The state government promptly banned the use of sedatives in orphanages. So looking at the huge sealed glass bottle, Beth was restless as if bitten by ants. Her addiction made her increasingly unstable. Even confessed to his close sister Jolene. Without medicine, I can't concentrate. If you don't concentrate, you can't play chess at night. So take a risk. Beth broke the lock. Stole the whole bottle outside. Blinking greedily like they're the only source of life. Accidentally with an overdose. Beth fell to the scream of the school sign. The first episode, titled Opening, ends with a daring opening move. A bold move will help her threaten even the toughest generals in this game. But to maintain form, Beth also became dependent on the blue pills. And the double-edged fence corrodes the soul. 5 years after the shocking event, this Beth has grown into a beautiful young woman. Still up all night and groggy the next morning. Her life with Jolene seemed to be forever bound to the orphanage. That is until a strange car shows up on campus. And strangely enough, Beth in an unexpected way won the hearts of the couple. They are Amar and Austin Wheatley. A couple that, just by looking at them, you can tell they're not happy. However, having a home is better than burying your youth here. So Safari, Beth sadly bid farewell to Jolene. Closest friend. With Shibo, the teacher taught her the first moves to turn a new page in life. Looking through the car window, Beth soon found herself in a well-off neighborhood, where the Wheatley family owns quite a bit of personal property. Luxurious piano next to the living room with beautifully upholstered sofa. A large, fully furnished upstairs room just for her. Along with the double bed at the orphanage. After so many years, a prosperous life has knocked on the door. However, it was not difficult for Beth to hear her adoptive parents arguing through the thin wall. Border work all day long. The head of the Wheatley family is rarely at home. There's only Beth in the entire vast belongings. Along with Amma's sad piano sound. A woman who once dreamed of becoming a musician. Until that desire was overwhelmed by elected office and housework. Spending all year alone, Amma appears extremely lonely. She smoked a lot of cigarettes and especially drank a lot of Senzolam. Temporarily commenting on the new family story. Because Beth has more important things to worry about. That is going to school. The first day of school. Our bodies immediately become gossip among our peers. Dress. Her hairstyle and the shoes she wore were not fashionable enough. Combined with a taciturn personality, Beth strayed away from the elegant ladies in her class. A bit surprising, but actually, she didn't care. What's bothering Beth right now are only two things. 1. At school there is no chess club. And 2. She also doesn't have the money to buy one for herself. Amma encouraged girls to engage in more feminine activities such as dancing or singing. However, she seemed to have taught the young girl how to handle herself alone. He stole a commercial chess magazine from the store and secretly stole his mother's Senzolam. Beth still practiced enthusiastically and showed up even more. Many magazines. She also learned that the state of Kentucky was preparing to host a tournament. So Black. Rejoin fee is $5. Beyond a student's ability. So take a risk. Beth sent a letter to old janitor Shabo to ask for money to participate in the prize. With the promise of double pay when becoming champion. Of course, Shabo cannot let his young student lose the opportunity. Return the envelope with the $5 inside. Beth officially participated in a chess tournament for the first time. At the registration desk, they all advised an unranked person like her to join the rookie branch. Because the open tournament has up to 3 players with ratings over 1,800. And they are ready to eat from devouring dreamers. Finished. Our female enemy only cares about which side has the bigger prize. Fill in your name in everyone's suspicious eyes. Beth confidently entered the opening match. Of course, she won easily when her opponent was a rookie. They put 2 female chess players next to each other as if assuming that the girls are at the same level. However, as for the next matches, his disdainful eyes gradually changed. From an anonymous player, no ratings and even first heard about the watch so far, Beth eliminated all other names. Male or female, famous or not, how much experience, it doesn't matter what the achievements are. You keep winning and winning. Keep winning and get closer and closer to the prize. Beth also fell in love with a gentle man named Charles. Great Wall and different from those who look at other people's faces. He recognized her true talent. The two met in the semifinals, and after a few moves, she checked all her crushes before marching towards the championship. However, at this time, there was turmoil in the family. Austin Whitley, Beth's foster father, ran away from home, completely cut off the mother and child's financial resources. No money, no job. Beth should have been returned to the orphanage. But because I don't feel sorry, Amal decided to still try to be her support. So on, Beth goes to the final match. Worry, stress, sadness combined with a rival who deliberately arrived late as a tease. Beth completely lost her temper, trying to lose his usual sharpness, and seemed to have been swallowed by that expert. So otherwise, temporarily under the match, Beth turned to St. Jolene again as a lifeline to escape her difficult situation. And when that blue medicine seeps into the bloodstream, Elizabeth Harmon became undefeated, returning to the chessboard with completely different eyes. Beth attacked so fiercely that the other body had no time to react. Driven into a dead end, he had to accept the surrender of his general. Everyone clapped and our genius tasted the fruits of victory for the first time. Take the $100 check and give it to your mother. Well, now I know how talented my daughter is. Chess is the way to save the family's empty wallet. So quickly calculate hotel rooms and transportation, or mother and child preparing for the next tournament and prize money. From now, news about an emerging prodigy in Kentucky spread throughout the United States. From Cincinnati to Pittsburgh, then all the way to Houston. All over the chess newspapers there were articles about great masters being defeated by a young girl. It's not the same as the first tournament anymore. Beth Harmon is recognized everywhere she goes. Like a predator, she continuously wins awards. Destroy all opponents on the way and increasingly perfect your playing style. With the money earned, mother and daughter also lived in the days of the Green River. Stay in expensive hotels, buy beautiful outfits, was interviewed by reporters at his home. Now, when she went to school, no one dared to laugh anymore. Opposite, with bright red dresses and more talent than others, the boys were still lining up to get autographs. Fellow actress Elizabeth Harmon's career continued to progress exponentially. However, the high mountain surpasses the higher mountain, and the young bronze body will also have another younger bronze body. It was at the Los Angeles tournament, where Beth encountered Benny Watts, defending champion of the United States. Unlike any other enemy she had ever met, Benny is on a completely different level. Just look at the flags listed on the newspaper. He can even immediately point out her weaknesses, something that Beth herself couldn't find the night of practice. So in that final, Beth received the first bitter fruit. She was overwhelmed not because her calculations were wrong. In contrast, Benny went to every country just as she expected. Just like I caught a trap. Then finally, in the moment Beth was engrossed in her attack, the game was in his hands. Secure the pawn in the central position, forcing the queen to evict and leaving Beth in a checkmate position. Although Benny accepted the draw and the two split the championship, but Beth knew that this time she had lost. And yet, here, the strange woman also met the boy she had a crush on, Charles. But then I realized, the friendly smiles he gave her were just friendship. Charles is gay and only sees Beth as a fellow chess enthusiast. So in the midst of that naked light, she realized she was known throughout America, but still so lonely. Practice alone, solve problems alone, and then when you fail, she also sipped it alone. Like the stories of many other geniuses, the vow of talent in return is loneliness. She loves chess because its world is only contained in 64 small squares. It can be calculated, arbitrary control, but chess pieces are not like humans. They only make moves that Beth wants. But now, she couldn't see herself. 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 Returning as America's champion, even if it's not the way I want. Beth finished her diploma at school. Simultaneously, she also participates in Russian language classes. Why? Prepared to one day encounter Vasily Bykov, an enemy of the Soviet Union. If it's because Benny is the wall right in front of your eyes. Bykov is like an indestructible cannon. The level of enemies of the Soviet Union at that time is said to be superior to the US. And Bykov is the most outstanding person of the empire are full of those monsters. That's right, he is the champion of the world. The gap between the two is still too big. So it's not too surprising in the tournament that Beth was invited to attend in New Mexico. She was completely crushed. According to her own account, he's like a machine, plays seemingly obvious moves, and it felt like the whole match had been written in advance like a book. A book whose results she was sure would fail. However, that loss wasn't as painful as it was. Beth has lost her second mother forever. That's right, in one night, she died of hepatitis, led while Beth was still busy competing, not realizing the real reason behind it. Those could be margaritas, which she drank instead of water, beer cans piled up in the room, or the immense loneliness of being abandoned by her husband. It's all no longer important. Oh, just leave like that. Without warning, leaving Beth alone once again. Recalling Shilpo's words, she seems to be paying the price for her rich iron talent. It was a life of suffering. Find an old friend with magic medicine, and make new friends through glasses of wine and cigarette smoke. Beth walked away into the tracks left by her two mothers. Drink until your mind clears. Tomorrow, just when our girl needs support the most. A phone rang. It's Harry Baltic, who was defeated by Beth in the Kentucky State Finals last year. In essence, the audience fell in love with it. Or rather, I have a crush on you. Through articles about her status, she conquered tournaments around the world. The two practiced together and quickly went to bed. Beth needed someone to fill the darkness inside her. Of course. And then each of these one-night stands ends abruptly. Just like how it started. However, Harry also taught her many things. Beth realized that her playing style relied too much on improvisation. She still lacks a lot of experience and knowledge to be able to defeat someone like Bokop, who is a master of all chess positions. But that also means she will continue to improve, and will download even better in the future. The day Harry carried Valisady, he left his last words in a book about Paul Morphy, one of the greatest chess talents in American history, and also a person with severe paranoia. Harry told her to be careful. Be careful with the anger in your head. Be careful of the chemicals you are relying on. And be careful not to step into the footsteps of short-lived geniuses. Yes, history has witnessed too many prodigies bloom at a very young age, then ended in tragedy. The two broke up peacefully. And that same year, Beth participates in the National King Bridge Championship, held in Ohio. Here she meets Penny Watts again. Can say, at now, both are the best names in America. So, the candidate for the final match is not too difficult to predict. Penny still spoke like that. On the night before the competition, he made Beth miserable with his ultimate handicapping. However, Beth is no longer the easily upset girl she once was. She reads books written by Penny herself to carefully analyze the Cowboys' playing style. Prepare for your revenge. At that year's tournament, Beth is America's champion. After 30 moves, Penny laughed, but in his heart he already knew, this young girl will one day surpass me. Her natural ability made her progress so quickly. However, what Beth got in Ohio that year, not just a title but also a friend. Penny is a strange person. He doesn't sit alone in the practice room, but is very good at playing chess. Analyze tactics with others. Therefore, this guy with the cowboy hat, always the focus of the crowd. And it was he who temporarily pulled Beth out of the pain of loss. Like Harry, Penny suggested Beth, come stay with me in New York so we can both practice chess. But not for love. What Penny wants is to find a way to beat golfers together. So I finally found a suitable coach. Beth got in the car and headed straight to Sumwood City. At Penny's apartment, they practice very passionately. She also met a few more of his friends, chess players from other states, and especially a beautiful girl named Cleo. They competed together all night and morning, and as if born to conquer the heights. Soon, Beth was able to take down all the most skilled talents at the same time. Special. During my stay here, Penny wouldn't let Beth touch a drop of alcohol. Prove that she can win on her own. However, perhaps Penny herself couldn't help but be attracted to the girl in front of her. Breaking the promise to just come to play chess, the two slept together before Beth flew to Paris to prepare for the upcoming big tournament. Clearly leveled qualifications. Prepare carefully and have the necessary confidence. If the player is from America, ready to welcome any flag. Special. She is eager to subdue Bokov. As usual, Beth's moves are still very sharp. She wins and continues to win until the person sitting opposite, none other than the man whose face had never changed color, Vasily Bokov. However, the piles of thorns have not yet let go of Beth. The night before the match, she received a call from Cleo and they both had a drink together. From 1 to 2, then Dad, until Beth herself lost count of the glasses. All of Penny's efforts to help her quit drinking were all in vain. So I overslept the next morning. Beth walked into the gym with a heavy head and a strong female scent. Drink water continuously to prolong the wine. But nothing can save a confused mind and wrong moves. In Paris that year, Beth continues to lose, a defeat she brought upon herself. Penny called Anouilh, then there's Harry, but Beth pushed them all away. Back to the old house. She received more news when her adoptive father, Austin, had previously promised to give up the house. Now I come back to ask for sale. Of course, Beth did not agree to let anyone take away the happy memories with her mother Alma, no matter how short they were. With the money earned, she paid him back both principal and interest. Officially become the owner of the house. A large house, covered in darkness. Penny continued calling. Harry continued to knock on the door. But all they got was rejection. Strong Beth. It's true that she is very strong. She masters the game that is only for men. She devoured the world's most famous masters. She is independent. Talent and the road ahead is completely open. But there's something that makes the scenes of Beth alone seem so sad. An inherent pain that was probably formed from an accident at 5 to 8 years old. Maybe it temporarily disappears when you're near Penny, Harry, two beloved Oma mothers. But now, it came back. Prevent the young girl from giving herself the right to be happy. Alcohol, medicine, magic pills. Then continued drinking. Change a little to beer. Alternate with the shoulder of a cigarette and repeat until the concept of time completely disappears. Beth wanders around in circles. Drunk and then awake. Woke up then got drunk again. Participated in the fake Kentucky attack at home. She appeared like a ticklish zombie. Beth could have killed herself. But the people who love her out there do not. And in the most desperate moment, there was a knock on the door. Surprisingly, that's Jolene, first friend, a close sister from the past at the Methuen orphanage. After leaving her as a hospital, Jolene went to college and is now working as a paralegal in a company in her hometown. She is also preparing to get married and saving money to seriously pursue her academic career. It seems like Jolene's life is going pretty well and her presence is exactly what Beth needs right now. However, it was no surprise that Jolene came to visit her old sister. She came with sad news. That's the janitor Shabo, the person who taught Beth how to do her first bridge, had just passed away and she said she would hold his funeral tomorrow. From now, Beth sets out to revisit where it all began. The two passed by the Romic car where she and her mother used to live. It was a series of unfortunate days that ended with her mother hitting the steering wheel and crashing into the opposite car. Next is the hospital lady. A sad castle for children with nowhere to hide. And finally, there was the simple funeral of an old laborer with only a few people attending. This is her past built with painful bricks. However, just as he was about to leave, something was holding Beth back. She suddenly walked down to the old basement where she often studied. It was still as shabby as ever with only one dim light shining straight down on the chessboard. But on the wall next door, Beth was surprised to see her face. That's right, Uncle Shabo pinned all the articles of her victories on the wall as a point of pride. The old janitor still followed her every step she took. I'm still secretly happy for her and still keep a lot of pictures of the 24 people. Carefully, this is perhaps the most important transformation of the lone genius. She realized that everyone she had ever met, every match, used to talk. Everyone has a special love for me. Jolene saves money to buy newspapers with her face on them. Benny always calls to check in. And even the girl in the first professional match Beth met, even though I no longer play chess, still stopping by to say hello. They all watched. Hope she will be successful and happy. Holding the photo in hand, Beth collapsed into Jolene and cried like a baby. Finally, the pain in her heart was removed. Stop drinking wine. Quit smoking. Clean up the house again. Beth recovered from her coma. Filling the hole of suffering she used to isolate herself. Find your way to Moscow, where the world's most nightmare tournament is held. The female grandmaster once again yearns for victory. Here, only champions from some representative countries are invited. Compete against the Soviet Union's greatest enemies. Of course there's Bokov. Say no flowers. This is the leader of the monsters. Religious organizations and unions would have sponsored Beth's trip. Then she flatly refused because she did not want to express her political views. Chess is the only thing Beth cares about. Tomorrow, Jolene is willing to use his savings to pay her in full. Just like how Shaibo lent her $5 to keep the prize. Heading to Moscow with the most stable spirit and health, Beth is determined to once again challenge the world's top engineers. and as expected of being the place where chess is most developed today. The tournament in Moscow appeared extremely dangerous and magnificent. Exquisite chessboards, luxurious competition room, along with a long line of fans waiting for every move of their favorite player. The entrance was bustling with press people shouting at each other, and even in the parks on the side of the road, I couldn't count how many people were busy chanting the water throne. The place Beth is in is the Temple of Chess. A tournament of this caliber will of course have tough opponents. Unlike some of the top players, subjective and then crushed by our girl, the famous Soviet players were truly monsters. Typically, veteran General Luchenko, who spent his whole life at the chessboard. The competition between the two not only took place for many hours, even had to postpone to rest and determine victory or defeat the next day. But with this determination, no one can stop Beth. She continued to attack until victory belongs to you. Through the first round, everyone was surprised. Win the second round, the press has begun to change its view. And until the final match with Bakov, Beth realized that her surroundings were filled with chaos. All chess lovers everywhere came to get the autograph of the beautiful genius Elizabeth Hormel. The same goes for Soviet players. Giving a satisfied smile, old General Luchenko surrendered and gave her kind words. A beautiful sports spirit. However, with dense competition density, Beth was in a hurry. And in an instant, darkness returned again. But this time, she immediately threw away the pills. It brought too many bad influences into her life. And finally, the moment all chess lovers have been waiting for has arrived. Here, one of the two best players will become world champion. Beth's high-pitched voice rang out in the silent space. Everyone held their breath. Wait, until the watch is turned on. The sky is white. Beth takes the first pawn. Gambit hold opening. Bakov refused. He put the pawn on square 4 in the king's game. Launched a counterattack against Gambit Albin. According to experts, this is not Bakov's usual chess position. Beth also immediately covered it again. And so on. It feels like the whole world is harmonizing with each move. The match was very evenly matched. Until Bakov asked for a delay. The two recorded their moves and returned to the room to rest. As Benny said, people have strong gears because they are very united. The players will help each other win. Especially during a delay like this. Opposite, individualism causes the ego of each American to reject outside opinions, leading to the players fighting alone. My ton, there was a friend who traveled as far as Moscow to encourage Beth. That's Taus. This guy is working in a newspaper in his hometown of Kentucky. The two meet again, very happy. He knew that he had let her down in their past love story, and used his appearance as a gesture of apology. After all, they are still friends. And it had been a long time since Beth had experienced a night before a game when she wasn't alone. But the wound has gradually healed. She slept soundly without the need for stimulants. But maybe, the most surprising was the phone call a few hours before the match. Pick up the phone. Beth smiled and realized that on the other end of the line were the voices of familiar comrades. Benny, Harry and the champions she had practiced with were all sitting around the chessboard trying to figure out the winning move. This time, Beth is no longer a lonely genius. But rather, from the beginning, she always had people by her side. A Shabble quietly follows each career success. A buffalo spirit always supported her back when she fell. With friends who are willing to extend their hands in times of despair. So, when entering the final match, Beth has completed her cognitive development. You're still the same. There are no loopholes. Move the pawn to the center of the board. The seasoned player proves why he is a world champion. However, fate calls the young girl's name. Because now I can only call her with 2 words. Sublime. Look up at the ceiling and imagine in your mind the chessboard you played 100,000 times as a child. Every situation ran through her mind like a machine. No sedatives. No alcohol. No smoke. Her talent bloomed like the most brilliant flower. Victory seemed to be firmly in the opponent's hands. Silence for a long time, then smiled softly. The mistress gave her penis into Beth's hands as a gesture of surrender. And the sound of continuous applause echoed from inside the auditorium to outside. Across the ocean, Benny and the whole gang celebrate. And at work, Charlene also heard the good news. With a white outfit like a queen on a chessboard, Elizabeth Hormel stepped onto the top podium and became the new world champion. But that day she didn't just win a chess match. That happy smile is also the relief of leaving the pain of the past behind. Victory is what she craves. But how happy it is to know that back home there are friends waiting to celebrate victory with you. Walking outside the park, Beth looked at ordinary people enjoying their day with games of chess. They recognized her, gathered around and shook hands happily. Invite the champion to rub shoulders in a friendly move. It's probably been a long time since Beth experienced such a feeling again. Relax and play a game of chess in the idyllic atmosphere. The episode ends, closing the young girl's extraordinary journey with glory and smiles. And that's the whole story of The Queen's Gambit. Not simply a story about intellectual communication. The film also subtly honors intelligent women. Destroy the traditional image of beauty. Obviously, talent will not go hand in hand with taking care of your appearance. At the same time, it can also be said, the film has transformed the vow of geniuses suffering from loneliness. Whoever it is, medium body or ordinary person, we all need people around us. Everyone needs relationships in this life. And yet, the film also respectfully promotes the spirit of sports. Despite the political differences between the Soviet Union and the United States, the players still have respect for each other. And in the moment when they compared high and low, those old names no longer exist. There are only two people left who give all their love to their small world. A world contained only in 64 interspersed squares. Thank you for watching this entire video. Hello and see you again in the next issue.